squad, welcome back. Now today we're continuing our journey of discovery, exploring the fantastic synths that reside right here as stock in Logic Pro. Now if you haven't been keeping up with the series so far, make sure you check out the links on the previous videos right here, and the link will be in the description. But today I'll be covering one of the most overlooked synths in Logic, and that is the ESM Mono Synth. In fact, if this synth was a US state, it would be one of the flyover states, honestly. But today we're going to build a track just using this synth with some drums and some vocals, of course, but I'll be showing you how you can take advantage of this great little synth that sits right there in Logic and create something special with it. Now remember, this Logic project right here, along with the previous projects that I've worked on, will be available for download, and links will be in the description to that. But it's that time, so let's get into it. Okay, so right here, as you can see, is the Logic ESM Synth, the one that we're going to be covering today. But we're going to do things slightly differently. First of all, as you can see, I've already got an arrangement. I'm going to play back the arrangement, and as you can see, I'm only using 4 instances of this ESM synth with some drums and some vocal samples. And what I want to show you for each instance is how I get from the raw initial tone to the final sound that I use for each track. Anyway, let's play back these few bars so you can hear what's going on with the first instance, which is my bass line. Let's go. Now that's the bass line that I'm going to be using. However, this is the original tone. Let's switch these things off right here, and this is the original sound. Okay, pretty boring if you ask me. I'm going to show you in a second how we got to this really cool bass sound. But let me first of all break down really briefly what we're looking at in terms of the makeup of this synth. Now essentially the ESM is a dual oscillator mono synth, and the term mono synth or monophonic synth means that you can only play one note at a time. So you can't play chords on a synth like this. So it's mainly used for bass lines or melodies or leads, that type of thing, as opposed to a polysynth or polyphonic synth, which would be the most common type of synth you'll probably come across. The reason why it's a dual oscillator is because although we got one oscillator mix control right here, we're able to blend between a sawtooth waveform and a rectangular waveform. And you can use the mix control to determine how much of each waveform we want to hear. Over here, we've got the octave parameters. We've got a glide control. Up here, the filter section is really simple. We've just got a frequency cutoff dial. We've got a resonance control down here. This dial here is the filter intensity control. This decay dial here and the velo dial are both part of the filter envelope controls. Down here, we've got the volume, velo, and decay, these two being part of the volume envelope. Over here, we've got a single effects dial, which allows us to add some overdrive to the signal. And of course, when we click the drop down at the bottom, we've got controls for pitch bend and master tuning. And that's the synth in a nutshell. Really simple, just a few controls, and really easy to manipulate. Anyway, let's dive back into the bass line. So the first thing we need to do in terms of creating a more interesting sound is, as we did before in the previous video, activated the arpeggiator. Click on the arpeggiator over here. Now, rather than going through all of this again, I'll just tell you what I'm using right now. Top here, you can see we're using Groovy Cycle 06. I'm using the custom parameter Chordal Jam 02. Let's quickly listen to that. Okay, and now in. Okay, cool. Now let's start looking at some of the effects plugins. I've got this pedal board right here, and in our pedal board, we've got one of our stock Logic pedals, which is the Vibe, and that you'll find that under modulation. Okay, so you just drag that in. Don't forget, when you download the project, you'll get all of the settings anyway. So let's hear how that is changing the sound. Ooh, yeah. I'm back in. Nice, nice. Okay, let's add a compressor. I'm using this vintage opto circuit. Make sure you check out my video on Logic's vintage circuit compressors. It really is important that you understand what's actually going on here, which is a lot. There's a lot of modeling going on here of classic compressors and gear. Definitely worth checking out. Anyway, we've got that switched in and we've got the soft distortion on to get a bit more bite. And the final thing in the chain is this one. It's another secret weapon which I use from time to time. And this one here is the Waves JJP bass, which is part of a really nice collection by Jack Joseph Puig. A lovely set of plugins which I deploy from time to time. And what I've gone for is one of the presets right here under DI, the KU bass. I've just gone for the one at the top and I've made some adjustments here. Let's bring it in. Ooh. Yeah. I mean, we haven't even done any automation or anything yet, but already we've gone from this to this. Oh yeah, I'm really feeling this. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Remember, if I'm bringing you value, don't forget to like the video. It's the best way of you supporting the channel. It's absolutely free to do, and it just helps me to bring you more quality content. Anyway, back to the video. So our next sound is an arpeggiated melody. Let me play that back so you can hear it, and I'll show you how we got there. Okay, so that's the end result. This is where it all started. We'll switch everything off, including the arpeggiator. Let's open up the synth. Now, the original sound source is the classic acid bass, and that sounds like this. So I've made some adjustments to the actual synth itself, taking it to this point. Cool. Switch on the arpeggiator, and again, I'm not going to go through all of the settings here. You can get that when you download the project. So let's dive into the plugins. So the first one we've got right here is the Logic Stereo Delay plugin, which is one of my favorites from Logic, to be honest with you. I have got a video on Logic's delay plugins, which you'll be able to find in the links above. Anyway, let's have a listen. Yeah. And now let's bring in the next effect, which is the spectral gate. Yeah, we're building up nicely. Now, on this one, I want to have some auto panning, so the tremolo, let's bring that one in. Yeah, really nice and subtle, not so harsh. You know, the original tone was quite harsh. Of course, it was called the acid bass. And the last plugin here for this particular sound is this one right here. Another fantastic Waves plugin, the Greg Wells GW Tone Centric. It's a really clever plugin that really adds nice harmonics, a nice tone and texture to your sounds. So let's play this back and then bring that in. What more can I say? Time to bring in the next sound. Okay, so for this third melody line sound, let's play it back and hear the starting point. And this is what the synth looks like. These are our settings. However, after a few adjustments to the synth, this is what it sounds like. Cool. Now let's bring in our arpeggiator. Have a listen. Cool. And now let's bring in some of those effects plugins. First of all, we've got stereo delay. Let's have a listen. Cool. And now for the Logic Ensemble plugin. Now this one really smooths out the sound by increasing the voices up to 3. As you can see, the voice is controlled right here. Anyway, let's move on to the next plugin. And next one, of course, is my pitch shifter. And I'm shifting the note up 3 semitones, and by keeping a 50% mix, I'll end up with 2 tones. I'll have the main melody plus a harmony note, a minor third above. Okay, again, I'm setting the timing to pitch tracking. So let's A/B this as well. Cool. And now for one of my favorite Waves plugins, which is the Mani MTTC. This one is great for smoothing things out. Have a quick listen. Really, really nice. Of course, I'm going to add the Logic Spreader plugin to give me some additional stereo width. And the final plugin I'm going to add to this one is the Greg Wells Tone Centric. Have a listen as well to this. Once again, this one is adding additional harmonics to increase the richness of the tone. By using this single dial in the middle here, you can really easily change the tonal characteristics of the sound by simply turning and listening. Okay, so we're practically there. And the final sound using the ESM Synth in this arrangement is going to be the chord line. Here's the end result. Okay, and this is our starting point. We're starting with the preset house organ, which sounds like this. And for this part, we won't be using the arpeggiator. Okay, so after some modification of this house organ sound, this is what we get. Okay, now let's bring in some of our effects plugins. First of all, it's our pitch shifter. We're shifting up 7 semitones this time to a perfect fifth. Okay, next up is Logic's chorus plugin. Okay, and then the Logic ensemble plugin. Okay, and finally, one of my favorites, the Logic stereo delay. I'm going to send this to the reverb as well. Let's bring in the bass line. Incredible, isn't it? Considering we started here. And now we're here. Okay, so let me go away, do a quick arrangement, quick mix. As you can see, I've got the Waves IM Pusher plugin on the master bus. I'll get things sounding really nice and tight, and then we'll play out. And remember, as always, if you're finding value in these videos, don't forget to give me a like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me to grow the channel, and it's free. It's also great hearing from you, so drop me a line, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one in this series. Until then, I'm Deuce, I'm out. Peace.